The sound of my dinner plate shattering against the mahogany floor echoed through the dining room like a gunshot. I didn't flinch. 5 years of Sunday dinners with the Dixons had taught me exactly what to expect. My name is Sierra, and this was the moment I'd been silently waiting for. "You're not real family!" Harper's face was red with rage, her manicured finger pointing at me from across the table. "You never will be. What kind of woman can't even give her husband a child?" I dabbed my mouth with the embroidered napkin, careful not to smudge my lipstick. The roast beef I'd barely touched sat in a congealing pool of gravy, empty on my ruined plate. "Harper, please." Lillian's voice carried that familiar note of false concern. "The neighbours will hear." Of course. The neighbours. Heaven forbid they hear the truth about their perfect little dynasty. I turned to Kerry, my husband of 7 years, watching him study his water glass like it held the secrets of the universe. His knuckles were white against the crystal stem. "Nothing to say, Kerry?" I asked softly. He cleared his throat. "Maybe we should all calm down." "Calm down?" Harper laughed, the sound brittle as ice. "Your wife has failed at the one thing she's supposed to do. Give us an heir. Continue the family name. But no. 3 miscarriages, and what? Nothing but excuses?" Frederick set down his fork with a quiet clink. "Harper's right, Sierra. We've been patient. But this family has standards, expectations." I nodded slowly, folding the napkin into a perfect square. Standards and expectations, like when you covered up Roman's existence because he married a black woman? The silence that followed was delicious. "How dare you bring him up?" Lillian hissed. "After everything we've done for you, everything you've done for me." I stood up, my chair scraping against the hardwood. "Let's talk about what you've done. 3 years of fertility treatments, Kerry skipping appointments because board meetings were more important. Harper announcing my miscarriages at Christmas dinner like she was reading the weather report. I was just being honest about..." "You were being cruel," I cut her off. "But that's what this family does best, isn't it? Cruelty dressed up as concern, control masked as care." Kerry finally looked at me, his face pale. "Sierra, you're upset. Let's go home and..." "No." The word came out quiet but firm. "I'm done." I reached for my purse, the designer bag Kerry's mother had given me last Christmas. "You know what's funny? While you've all been so focused on my failing womb, you missed something rather important." Harper snorted. "What?" "Finally admitting you're barren." I smiled, and for the first time that evening it reached my eyes. "No, I'm admitting I've won." "Won what?" Frederick's voice held a note of uncertainty I'd never heard before. I pulled out my phone, holding it up so they could see me blocking their numbers one by one. "You'll find out soon enough. But for now, let me save you the trouble of kicking me out of the family." The walk to the front door felt like floating. Behind me, I could hear Kerry calling my name, Harper's shrill demands for explanation, Lillian's dramatic gasps. I paused at the threshold, turning back one last time. "Oh, and Kerry, don't bother coming home. I won't be there." The heavy door closed behind me with a satisfying thud. In my car, I finally let out a shaky breath, checking my phone. The notification I'd been waiting for all evening was there. "Final adoption paperwork processed. Court date set for custody hearing our Iris Dixon." I started the engine, smiling at the thought of Harper's face when she realised I'd beaten them to Roman's daughter. They wanted her for their precious legacy. I wanted to give her what they never gave me, unconditional love. The irony wasn't lost on me. After years of failing to give them an heir, I was about to become a mother, just not the way they'd planned. I pulled out of their circular driveway for the last time, leaving behind the mansion that had felt like a prison. My phone buzzed with messages I'd never read, calls I'd never answer. Sometimes the best revenge isn't a scream or a fight. Sometimes it's simply walking away and taking their future with you. 2 months earlier, I was scrolling through my morning news feed when I saw his obituary. Roman Dixon, age 36, killed in a car accident. The photo was old, probably from before the family disowned him. He was smiling, his arm around a beautiful woman I'd never met. I almost scrolled past it until I saw the last line. "Survived by his 4-year-old daughter, Iris." My coffee went cold as I dug deeper. Social media posts, local news articles, court records. Roman's wife had died last year, cancer. Now he was gone too. Their daughter was in the system, and the Dixons were circling like vultures. I printed everything and drove to the social services office that afternoon. I'm sorry, but I can't discuss ongoing cases, Zara, the social worker said. Her desk was cluttered with files and family court documents. I understand, but I'm not here about a case. I'm here about justice. She raised an eyebrow. Justice? I placed Roman's obituary on her desk. The family trying to adopt Iris. They're the same people who cut Roman off for marrying her mother. They didn't attend the wedding, didn't acknowledge their granddaughter, didn't even send flowers when his wife died. Zara leaned back in her chair. And you know this how? Because I'm married to his cousin. At least, I twisted my wedding ring. I was, until about an hour ago. Her expression softened. She gestured to the chair across from her desk. Tell me more. I spent the next hour explaining everything. The Dixons' obsession with bloodlines, their casual racism masked as family values, the way they treated me over my infertility. They don't want Iris because they love her, I said. They want her because she's the last piece of the Dixon bloodline they can control. Zara tapped her pen against her desk. What exactly are you proposing? I want to adopt her, as a single mother, under my maiden name. That's complicated. The Dixons have already filed paperwork. They have money, influence, and I have proof. I pulled out my phone, showing her years of text messages, emails, social media posts, every racist comment, every time they mocked Roman's marriage, every family event they excluded him from. Would you want people like that raising a biracial child? Zara studied the evidence, her professional mask cracking slightly. This would help. But you'd need more than just dirt on them. You'd need to prove you're a suitable parent. I'm an occupational therapist. I work with children. I have savings, a clean record, and I'm about to close on a house near the best elementary school in the district. I leaned forward. And unlike them, I actually want to love her, not use her. She was quiet for a long moment. It won't be easy. They'll fight dirty. I'm counting on it. Over the next few weeks, I threw myself into the process. Home studies, background checks, character references. I visited Iris at her foster home, bringing books and sitting quietly while she drew pictures. You're very patient with her, her foster mother said one day. Most potential adopters try to force a connection. I watched Iris carefully colouring inside the lines. She's been through enough forcing. The girl looked up then, her dark eyes serious. Will you come back tomorrow? Yes, I promised. I'll always come back. Later that week, I was having lunch at a cafe near my new house when I heard Harper's voice at the next table. I ducked behind my menu. The adoption hearing is next month, she was saying. Daddy's lawyer says it's practically guaranteed. I mean, who else would want her? I smiled into my coffee. If only they knew. That evening I got the email I'd been waiting for. The court had accepted my application as a viable candidate for private adoption. My hands shook as I read the words. Initial review suggests strong placement potential. I printed the email, adding it to a folder labelled Iris. Inside were paint swatches for her room, school district information, and a photo of her I'd taken during one of our visits. She was smiling, really smiling, for the first time since I'd met her. My phone buzzed, Kerry again. 37 missed calls since I'd left. I blocked his number without reading the messages. In the quiet of my apartment, surrounded by half-packed boxes, I looked at Iris's photo again. Soon, I whispered. Soon we'll both be free of them. The irony wasn't lost on me. After years of the Dixons treating me like an outsider, I was about to become family to the one person they'd tried hardest to forget. Sometimes karma doesn't just come full circle, it comes home. Ms. Hill? The receptionist's voice pulled me from my thoughts. Dr. Matthews will see you now. Another evaluation, another expert to convince. The adoption process felt like death by 1,000 paper cuts. But I'd take bureaucratic torture over one more Sunday dinner with the Dixons. Dr. Matthews was younger than I expected, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. So you're looking to adopt as a single mother? Yes. I'd practiced this conversation 100 times. I know it's not traditional, but... Traditional isn't always better, she interrupted, surprising me. Tell me about your support system. I thought about Kerry, about how he'd held my hand through 3 miscarriages while simultaneously telling his family I wasn't trying hard enough. I have close friends, colleagues. I'm part of a single mothers group. I pulled out my phone. Would you like to see the schedule I've worked out? Childcare, school arrangements, emergency contacts. She held up her hand, smiling. Sierra, breathe! This isn't an interrogation. Sorry. I forced myself to relax. I just want to prove I'm ready. You're more prepared than most couples I see. She glanced at my file. Though I am curious about something. Your last fertility treatment was only 6 months ago. That's quite a shift. From IVF to adoption. The memory hit like a punch to the gut. Kerry had missed that appointment too. Board meeting, he'd said. I'd seen the Instagram posts later, him golfing with his father and sister. Sometimes you realise you've been asking the wrong question, I said carefully. It wasn't about whether I could have a baby. It was about whether I could be a mother. She nodded, making notes. And Iris, specifically? Why her? Because she deserves better than being a trophy in the Dixon family cabinet. Because her father was the only one brave enough to break free from their toxicity. Because every time I see her, I see hope. Because when I look at her, I said instead, I see my daughter. Later that afternoon, I had my weekly visit with Iris. She was sitting cross-legged on the playroom floor, surrounded by books. This one, she held up, Where the Wild Things Are. Perfect. I sat beside her, and she immediately leaned against me. You know, this was my favourite book when I was your age. Really? She traced the monster on the cover. Weren't you scared? Sometimes being a little scared is okay. It means you're brave enough to try new things. She was quiet for a moment. Like having a new mum? My heart squeezed. Yeah, exactly like that. The other people? She frowned. The loud lady with the fancy shoes. She said she was going to be my new mum. Harper. Of course, she'd already tried to stake her claim. What did you think about that? I kept my voice neutral. Iris shrugged, turning the page. She didn't ask if I wanted to read books. After the visit, I stopped at a coffee shop to review more paperwork. The universe, apparently, had other plans. Sierra. I froze. Lillian stood there, designer purse clutched like a shield. I thought that was you. Lillian. I started gathering my papers. Wait. She sat uninvited. Kerry's a mess, you know. He misses you. Funny how he never mentioned that during all those missed doctor's appointments. Her face hardened. We all make mistakes. But family stops at bloodlines? I couldn't help myself. Like it did with Roman. That was different. She lowered her voice. And speaking of Roman, we've finally found his daughter. We're adopting her. It's what's best for everyone. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly. Best for everyone, or best for your family's image? You're being ridiculous. Where are you going? To be with my real family. I left her sitting there, mouth open. My phone buzzed. A text from Zara. Final home study approved. Court date in 2 weeks. The Dixons still don't know you're the other party. Are you sure about this? I thought about Iris, about her quiet strength and careful smiles. About how she leaned into me while we read, trusting me to keep the monsters at bay. Absolutely, I typed back. Some things are worth fighting for. The next morning, I drove past the Dixon estate on my way to work. Harper's car was in the driveway, probably planning their victory celebration. They had no idea what was coming. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone's world, it's about building a better one right under their noses. The last box landed with a thud in my new living room. Empty walls echoed with possibility, and for the first time in years, I could breathe. That's the last of it, my friend Rachel said, wiping her forehead. You know, when you said you were leaving Kerry, I didn't expect you to move quite so thoroughly. I surveyed the modest 3-bedroom house. No crystal chandeliers or mahogany panels here. Just warm sunlight and potential. Want to help me with Iris's room? Rachel followed me upstairs, carrying paint cans. You're really sure about this adoption thing? More sure than I've ever been about anything. I pulled out the colour swatches. What do you think? Moonlight or summer sky? Sierra. Rachel set down the paint. Talk to me. Is this about getting back at them? I picked up a paintbrush, testing its weight. You remember my last miscarriage? Of course. Kerry was at that golf tournament, right? What I never told anyone. I dipped the brush in summer sky. I was 3 months along, further than ever before. I called Kerry from the hospital, bleeding and scared. He said he'd come right away. The paint stroke against the wall was decisive, bold. He showed up 6 hours later, said he had to finish the tournament first, didn't want to disappoint his father. Jesus, Sierra. Harper brought it up at Christmas dinner, called it my latest failure. Another stroke. That's when I knew. It was never about having a baby. It was about giving them what they wanted. Rachel grabbed a brush. And now, you're adopting the one child they desperately want. The one child they threw away until they needed her. I stepped back, admiring the growing patch of blue. Iris deserves better than being their redemption trophy. We painted in companionable silence until Rachel's phone buzzed. Oh my God! What? She held up her phone. Harper just posted on Instagram. They're throwing some fancy dinner party next week to celebrate family unity or something. The caption says, welcoming new beginnings. I laughed. They think the adoption is a done deal. Are you going to tell them? They'll find out soon enough. We spent the rest of the afternoon setting up Iris's room. Second-hand bookshelf filled with carefully chosen stories. A small desk by the window, fairy lights strung across the ceiling. It's perfect, Rachel said softly. She's going to love it. My phone rang. Zara's number. Hello? Sierra? We might have a problem. The Dixons are asking questions about the other adoption application. They're throwing around words like legal action and family rights. My hands shook slightly. Can they stop it? No, but they're making noise. Harper showed up at the office today, demanding to know who else was trying to adopt Iris. What did you tell her? Nothing. Confidentiality laws, but Sierra, they're going to find out eventually. After hanging up, I sat on Iris's new bed, running my hand over the soft purple comforter. A stuffed elephant, her favourite animal, I'd learned, waited patiently on the pillow. The doorbell rang. My heart stopped. Through the peephole, I saw Kerry standing on my porch, looking lost in his expensive suit. Sierra? His voice was muffled. Please. I know you're in there. Your car's outside. I pressed my forehead against the door. Go away, Kerry. I miss you. We can work this out. Whatever you want. More treatments, different doctors. That's the problem, I said through the door. You never understood what I wanted. Then tell me. I wanted you to choose me. Just once. Over your family, your image, your precious legacy. My voice cracked. But you never did. Silence. Then. Is this about the miscarriage? I said I was sorry about the tournament. Goodbye, Kerry. Sierra, wait. I turned up the music in Iris's room, drowning out his pleas. Started organising books alphabetically. Dr. Seuss next to Maurice Sendak. Stories about bravery and belonging. My phone buzzed with a text from Zara. Court date moved up. Next week. You ready? I looked around the room. At the sky blue walls and twinkling lights. At the small desk where Iris would do her homework. At the empty photo frames waiting to be filled with new memories. Ready, I typed back. Kerry's car finally started outside. As he drove away, I opened Iris's window, letting in fresh air and possibility. On her desk, I placed a framed photo from our last visit, her small hand in mine as we read together. Sometimes the quietest rooms hold the loudest promises, and sometimes the best families are the ones we choose for ourselves. The call from Harper came exactly when I expected it would. 3 days before the court date, right during my lunch break. Sierra? It's me, her voice dripped with artificial sweetness. I've been thinking about our little disagreement. I took another bite of my sandwich, letting her squirm in the silence. Hello? Are you there? I'm here, Harper. Just surprised you still have my number. Look, I know things got heated at dinner, but we're family. We're family, I corrected. Past tense. She sighed dramatically. Can we meet? Please? There's something important I need to discuss. 20 minutes later, I sat across from her at an overpriced cafe. She'd ordered some complicated drink that probably cost more than Iris's new bookshelf. You look different, she said, studying me. Happy tends to do that. She flinched. Kerry's a wreck, you know. Father had to pull strings to keep him from losing that promotion. Is that why you called me here? To guilt me about Kerry's career? No. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. It's about the adoption. Roman's daughter. I stirred my coffee slowly. What about her? Someone's trying to block our application, some mystery candidate. Her perfectly manicured nails drummed the table. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? Why would I? Because you worked in children's services. You might have connections. I almost laughed. They still had no idea. Sorry, can't help. Sierra, please. Her voice cracked slightly. This is important. That child belongs with us. Like Roman belonged with you? Her face hardened. That was different. He made his choices. Yes, he did. He chose love over legacy. Must have been terrifying for all of you. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I stood up, gathering my things. You know what I remember most about my last miscarriage, Harper? Not the pain, not the blood, not even Kerry's absence. I remember you at Christmas dinner announcing it to everyone like you were reading a weather report. She had the decency to look uncomfortable. I was just being honest. You were being cruel, but that's what you do best, isn't it? Cruelty masked as concern, control disguised as care. Is that why you left? To punish us? I smiled. No, Harper. I left to save myself. My phone buzzed. A text from Zara. Dixon's lawyer requesting emergency meeting. They're getting desperate. I have to go, I said, dropping a few dollars for my coffee. Good luck with the adoption. Wait, Harper grabbed my arm. What do you know? I gently removed her hand. I know that karma comes in many forms. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's delayed, and sometimes it looks just like the people you threw away. I left her sitting there, her expensive drink untouched. Back at work, I found an email from Kerry. Sierra, I've been thinking about everything. About us. Maybe we were too focused on having a baby. Maybe we could try counselling. Please. I miss you. K. Below that was another email from Frederick's lawyer. Ms. Hill, our firm represents the Dixon family in matters regarding the adoption of Iris Dixon. We have reason to believe you may have information pertinent to this case. Please contact our office immediately. Regards, James Patterson, Eskies. I forwarded both to my own lawyer with a simple note. It's starting. That evening, during my visit with Iris, she showed me a drawing she had made. A house with a blue room and 2 figures holding hands. Is that us? I asked softly. She nodded. The lady with the fancy shoes came again yesterday. She tried to give me a really expensive doll. And what did you do? I told her I like books better. She looked up at me, her dark eyes serious. When can I come see my blue room? Soon, sweetheart. I squeezed her hand. Very soon. My phone lit up with another call from Harper. I declined it, watching as Iris added stars to her drawing sky. Zara's text came just before I left. Court tomorrow. Dixon family filing emergency motion to expedite their claim. You ready for this? I looked at Iris's drawing one more time, at the simple happiness she'd captured in crayon and hope. They thought they were playing chess, I typed back. But this was never a game. Sometimes the biggest victories come disguised as silence. And sometimes the best revenge is simply letting people destroy themselves while you build something beautiful. The courthouse hallway buzzed with tension. The Dixons arrived like an invading army, Frederick in his power suit, Lillian draped in pearls, Harper clicking along in designer heels. 3 lawyers trailed behind them, carrying briefcases that probably cost more than my car. Kerry stood slightly apart, looking lost. When he saw me sitting alone on the wooden bench, his step faltered. Sierra? He moved toward me. What are you? All parties in the Dixon adoption case, please enter courtroom C. The bailiff called. Harper's head snapped around. What is she doing here? I stood up, smoothing my simple blue dress. Following the rules of court, Harper. Something you might want to try. Inside, the Dixons and their legal team filled the right side of the courtroom. I sat alone on the left, my single lawyer beside me. Zara sat in the witness area, clutching her files. Judge Martinez entered, scanning the room with practiced eyes. Interesting case we have here. 2 parties seeking to adopt the same child. Let's begin with the Dixon family petition. Frederick's lawyer stood, oozing confidence. Your Honour, my clients are upstanding members of the community with significant resources. They can provide the child with every advantage. Objection! My lawyer's voice cut through the air. Counsel is suggesting wealth equals fitness for parenthood. Sustained. The judge leaned forward. Let's focus on the child's best interests, not bank accounts, Harper whispered furiously to her father. Frederick's face darkened. Ms. Cooper, the judge addressed Zara. As the assigned social worker, what are your observations? Zara stood, professional and calm. The Dixon family made their interest known immediately after learning of Iris's existence. However, during my investigations, concerning patterns emerged, such as social media posts showing racial insensitivity, documentation of their treatment of the child's father, including his disinheritance after marrying outside their race, and, she glanced at me, their handling of other family situations suggests a prioritization of appearance over emotional well-being. This is ridiculous, Harper burst out. She's our blood! Ms. Dixon, the judge warned, control yourself or leave my courtroom. And the other petition? The judge turned to my lawyer. Your Honour, my client, Sierra Hill, has spent the past 3 months building a genuine relationship with Iris. She's attended every visitation, created a stable home environment, and demonstrated consistent emotional investment in the child's well-being. She's trying to steal our legacy. Frederick stood up, face red. She's doing this for revenge. Mr. Dixon, the judge's gavel cracked like thunder. One more outburst and I'll hold you in contempt. Kerry stared at me, realization dawning. It was you. The other application. It was you all along. Yes. I met his eyes. Someone had to protect her. The judge reviewed the files silently. Harper whispered frantically to her lawyers. Lillian dabbed at her eyes with an embroidered handkerchief. I've reviewed both petitions thoroughly, Judge Martinez finally said. The Dixon family offers financial security and biological connection. Ms. Hill offers emotional stability and demonstrated commitment to the child's well-being. She paused, looking directly at Frederick. I've also reviewed the history, the documented racism, the abandonment of the child's father, the pattern of prioritizing image over empathy. Harper started to speak, but her lawyer grabbed her arm. In my experience, the judge continued, children need love more than luxury, acceptance more than advantages, and most importantly, they need parents who see them as people, not possessions. My heart stopped. Therefore, I am granting full adoption rights to Sierra Hill with immediate effect. The courtroom erupted. Harper screamed. Frederick slammed his fist on the table. Lillian collapsed into dramatic sobs. Order! The gavel cracked again. Mr. Dixon, control your family or I'll have them removed. Kerry stood frozen, looking between me and his family. For once in his life, he had to choose. He chose silence. Sierra, the judge addressed me directly. Are you prepared to take custody today? Yes, Your Honour. My voice was steady. Her room is ready. Very well. Court officer, please bring in the child. Iris entered holding a social worker's hand. When she saw me, her face lit up. Can I go home now? She asked quietly. I knelt down to her level. Yes, sweetheart, we can go home. To the blue room. To the blue room. As we walked out, Harper's voice rang through the courthouse. This isn't over. I turned back one last time, Iris's hand warm in mine. Actually, Harper, it is. You just don't know it yet. Outside, the autumn sun was bright and clear. Iris looked up at me, squinting. Are they always that loud? I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in years. Not any more, sweetheart. Not any more. This is your room, I said, opening the door. Iris stood frozen in the doorway, her small backpack clutched to her chest. The blue room, she whispered, just like in my drawing. She took a tentative step inside, touching the fairy lights, the bookshelf, the purple comforter. Her fingers traced the spine of where the wild things are, like it was made of gold. Is it really mine? Forever? Forever and ever. She turned to me, her dark eyes serious. Can I call you Mum? The word hit me like a thunderbolt. All those years of fertility treatments, of Harper's cruel jabs, of Kerry's passive silence, they evaporated in that single moment. Yes, I managed. If that's what you want. She launched herself into my arms and I caught her, holding on tight. We stayed that way until a knock at the front door made us both jump. Through the peephole, I saw Kerry standing on my porch. Again. Stay here, sweetheart, I said. Look through your books. I'll be right back. I opened the door, just enough to block the entrance. What do you want? To talk. He looked terrible. Tie loose, hair messy. Harper's having a meltdown. Father's talking about lawsuits. Mum hasn't stopped crying. Not my problem anymore. You planned this whole thing, didn't you? While you were still living with me? Yes. He ran his hands through his hair. Why didn't you tell me? Would it have mattered? Would you have chosen me over them? Just once. Before he could answer, Iris appeared behind me. Mum, can we read now? Kerry's face crumpled. She's calling you Mum already? She's calling me Mum because I earned it. I put my hand on Iris's shoulder. Because I chose her, the way you never chose me. Sierra, please. You saw them break me, I cut him off. You watched me walk away. Now you get to watch me rise. I want to fix this. Mum? Iris tugged my sleeve. The lady with the fancy shoes is coming up the driveway. Sure enough, Harper was storming toward us, Frederick and Lillian right behind her. Get inside, sweetheart, I said quickly. Lock your door until I come get you. Iris disappeared upstairs as Harper reached the porch. How dare you? You manipulative little... That's enough. My voice was ice. You're trespassing. Trespassing? Frederick stepped forward. We're family. No, you're not. You made that very clear the day you threw my miscarriage in my face at Christmas dinner. We can appeal, Lillian said desperately. We have the best lawyers. Go ahead, waste your money. But first, let me show you something. I pulled out my phone, showing them the screen. See this? It's a recording of every racist comment you've made about Roman's wife. Every cruel joke about my infertility. Every time you called Iris a mixed blessing. One click, and it goes viral. Harper's face went white. You wouldn't. Try me. Now get off my property before I call the police. Kerry! Harper turned to her brother. Do something! Kerry looked between us, his raging family and his soon-to-be ex-wife. For the first time in our marriage, he made a choice. Let's go, he said quietly. It's over. But it's over, Harper. They retreated slowly, like wounded animals. Harper's threats echoed down the driveway until they were finally gone. Upstairs, I found Iris sitting on her bed, clutching the stuffed elephant. Are they gone? Yes, sweetheart. They're gone. Forever. I sat beside her, pulling her close. They can't hurt us anymore. Want to know why? She nodded. Because we're stronger than they are. We're real family, the kind that chooses each other every day. Like in the books. Exactly like in the books. She was quiet for a moment. Can we read now? The Wild Things one? Of course. As we settled in with the book, my phone buzzed with a final text from Kerry. I'm sorry for everything. I deleted it without responding. Outside, I heard their cars finally pulling away. Inside, Iris snuggled closer as I began to read. The night Max wore his wolf suit. Sometimes the happiest endings don't look anything like what you imagined. Sometimes they look like a little girl in a blue room, holding a book about wild things, teaching you what real love feels like. And sometimes they look exactly like revenge and redemption, wrapped up in a single perfect moment. Mom, the package came! Iris burst through the front door, waving an envelope. Can we open it? I set down my coffee, smiling at her excitement. The adoption certificate had arrived. Official, embossed, and absolutely final. No more court dates, no more Dixon drama, just us. Let's do it together. We sat at the kitchen table, carefully opening the envelope. Iris traced her new name with her finger. Iris Marie Hill. Do you like it? She nodded solemnly. It sounds like me. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I saw Rachel holding grocery bags. Perfect timing. I brought celebration supplies, Rachel announced, pulling out cake mix and sprinkles. Someone's official adoption day deserves proper recognition. While Iris helped Rachel measure flour, I checked my phone. A news notification caught my eye. Dixon Family Foundation under investigation for financial misconduct. I clicked the link. Frederick's face stared back at me, looking significantly older than the last time I'd seen him. The article detailed suspicious transactions, tax evasion, and, ironically, misuse of adoption agency donations. Karma really doesn't play favourites, Rachel said, reading over my shoulder. Mum, can I crack the egg? Iris called. Carefully, I warned, putting the phone away. Some stories weren't worth following anymore. As we mixed the batter, someone knocked softly at the back door. Through the glass, I saw a woman I recognised from photos, Roman's sister Maria. I got your letter, she said when I opened the door, and the picture of Iris. Would you like to come in? We're baking a cake. She hesitated. The Dixons? They don't know I'm here. The Dixons don't matter anymore. Maria stepped inside just as Iris was adding probably too many sprinkles to the batter. She froze when she saw Maria, then smiled shyly. You look just like your daddy, Maria said softly. He would have loved this. Did you know my dad? I did. Would you like to hear about him? While they talked, sharing stories and cake batter, my phone buzzed with a text from Kerry's lawyer. Divorce papers, ready for final signature. I typed back a simple, okay, then watched Iris show Maria her favourite books, her art projects, her growing collection of elephant stuffed animals. She's happy here, Maria said later, as Iris and Rachel decorated the cake. The Dixons, they would have suffocated her spirit. Like they did with Roman? Exactly. She pulled something from her purse, a photo album. I thought she might like to have these. Pictures of her parents, their wedding day, baby photos. I hugged her impulsively. Thank you. No, thank you. For giving her what they couldn't, freedom to be herself. The cake turned out lopsided and over-sprinkled, but Iris declared it perfect. As we sat around the kitchen table, sharing slices and stories, my phone lit up with a final message from Harper. You won. Are you happy now? I looked at Iris, laughing, as she got frosting on her nose. At Maria, sharing precious memories of the brother she'd lost. At Rachel, who'd stood by me through everything. Yes, I typed back. I am. Then I blocked her number for the last time. That night, tucking Iris into bed, she asked, Mom, are you sad about the divorce papers? No, sweetheart. Sometimes letting go is the happiest choice we can make. Like in Where the Wild Things Are, when Max leaves the wild things to come home. Exactly like that. She hugged me tight. I'm glad you're my mum. I'm glad you're my daughter. Later, I sat in the quiet living room, looking through Maria's photo album. Roman and his wife on their wedding day, radiant with love. Baby Iris, all big eyes and curious smile. The same smile she gave me now, every single day. I took out a fresh envelope, addressing it to Maria. Inside, I placed a new photo, Iris blowing out her celebration cake candles, frosting on her nose, joy pure and unfiltered on her face. On the back, I wrote, This is what freedom looks like. The Dixon mansion lights were dark as I drove past, heading home from dropping the letter at the post office. Their perfect facade was cracking, their carefully constructed legacy crumbling. But in my little house with the blue room, real legacy was being built. Not through blood or birthright, but through love and choice and second chances. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying what hurt you. Sometimes it's about building something so beautiful that the past loses its power to wound. And sometimes the happiest ending isn't an ending at all. It's a beginning.